So natural law theory claims that nature is teleological. This concept, teleological, is derived from the root concept teleology. And if we focus on the prefix of that word, which is teleo or telio, we would see that that essentially means purpose. Teleo refers to purpose or design or function. So according to natural law theory, everything in nature has a purpose, a built-in purpose. Another way to think about this is that according to natural law theory, nature is a rational and orderly system. And everything in nature has a proper role and a proper function. And so something can either fulfill its purpose and hence be good, or it could not fulfill its purpose and hence be bad. So for instance, we might say that the purpose of teeth is to chew. And again, hence, we would say that good teeth are teeth that are, able to be used for chewing. And bad teeth are maybe rotten teeth with cavities that you can't really use for the proper purpose of chewing. So according to natural law theory, anything and everything in nature will have one or more purposes that are built into that thing. And whether you fulfill those purposes will determine how good or bad of a being or thing you are in respect to your purposes. So as human beings, we are, according to natural law theory, part of nature, right? And so there is such a thing as human nature. And when we talk about human nature, we are talking about the human purposes, right? And ultimately, those purposes are going to be the four intrinsic goods. According to natural law theory, human purposes consist of life, procreation, knowledge, and sociability. Those are the purposes of a human being. Those are the proper functions of a human being. And if you fulfill those functions, if you fulfill those purposes, you would be considered a good human being, a good person, according to natural law theory. But if you violate human life, if you violate human procreation, knowledge, or sociability, then you would be considered to be a bad human being, according to natural law theory. So, according to natural law theory, all of nature has purpose. You might be wondering, where does this purpose come from? What is the origin of purpose in nature? And there's a couple different routes that the natural law theorists could take in response to that question. And I briefly and quickly want to, just put them out there for us. The first, and maybe this is the more natural of the two, is to connect natural law theory with one's theology. In other words, in answer to the question, where does purpose come from? We might say that purpose in nature is ultimately created by God. That's what I meant by theology, or theism, right? So if you are one who believes in God, especially an all-powerful, all-knowing God, then presumably you believe that God created the universe, and God created nature, and God created human beings. And so when we ask the question, where did the purpose come from? The answer would be from God. God created teeth for chewing, and God created human beings for these four specific purposes. And perhaps we would say, since God is an all-knowing being, he knows what our purposes should be. He knows what would lead to the most ideal world. Another route that one could take in response to where does the purpose come from might be a non-theological route and more of a natural route, um, which is to say that purpose is derived from evolution, and that through the evolutionary process, um, things in nature come to have different purposes. So teeth have evolved for the purpose of chewing, and human beings have evolved for the purpose of life, procreation, knowledge, and sociability. I think that either one of these stories could be true, or maybe I should say they can both make sense of the origin of purpose in nature.